Episode 12 of the Deseret MMA podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in to the number one base. Fuck. Number one base chicken. Episode 12, Deseret MMA podcast. The number one Utah-based podcast in the state and in the nation.
And in the world.
In the world, the widest of worlds.
Yeah.
13 dimensions. I am your host, Garrett Kimball. As always, accompanied by my lovely partner, Kobe Mooney.
What's going on?
Big weekend for fights last weekend. Big weekend
Huge
for us,
weekend.
too.
Yeah.
It was a damn good weekend, man.
It was for sure.
Waste Management was on. I don't know if you saw that clip of Tiger Woods handing Justin Thomas a tampon.
No, I didn't see that clip. That's funny.
He outdrove him, then he reached out his hand and handed him a fucking Tampax. But we're not here to talk about golf. We're here to talk about the motherfucking Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking UFC 284, bro. This 2023 is going to be a fucking massive year for fights.
Definitely.
I mean, that's what a lot of people are saying with the release of Ngannou and stuff. They're going to announce a lot of really big fights to try to cover up losing some people. And they fucking delivered, man. John Jones coming back. 284 was fucking stacked. 2 pay-per-views next month. We got the London card 2, Usman and Edwards 3.
That's going to be a good one.
Peter Yan.
I'm excited for that.
Peter Yan and Dewala Willie fight on March 11th. Fucking Cheeto Vera versus Corey Sandhagen on the 25th. And then they announced UFC 287, Alex Pereira versus Adesanya 2 in Miami, Florida.
In Miami?
In Miami. I don't know if it is, but it might be at the fucking Hard Rock Stadium. Doesn't that have a retractable roof on it?
I'm not sure. I think so.
If so, I don't know why they wouldn't go there. I know they could fucking fill that out.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
But fucking stacked, dude. This could be one of the best years for the UFC. I truly think that, man. Especially if they get on this roll. We've got Dariush and Charlavera. That's probably going to happen in May. But we got Holloway and fucking Arnold Allen, April 15th. Jones versus Gone, Valentina Shevchenko versus Alex Barrasso, Jeff Neal versus Shavkat, Bo Nickel returns to make his debut.
His UFC debut, bro.
I watched a Bo Nickel interview, I think, with Ariel Helwani the other day. Dude's looking like he's ready to kill.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking shaved his hair off.
Made the main card for that. His UFC debuts on the main card with John Jones card.
Obviously,
that's crazy.
We lost fucking Dan Hooker. He was supposed to fight on that card against Jalen Turner.
Yeah, we got some crazy stuff to talk about with Dan Hooker later.
And then fucking Cody Garbrandt comes back. Hopefully doesn't get his ass knocked out. Dricus Duplessis comes back to fight Derek fucking Brunson, dude. Julian Marquez. Ian Gary fucking comes back. The fucking future of Ireland mixed martial arts. Fucking God. 285 is stacked, bro. John Jones. My first time ever getting the chance to watch John Jones live.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, dude. I'm excited for
Obviously not live in person. I really, really, really wanted to go to that, but big year ahead of us.
Oh, yeah.
In both our lives, we couldn't make that happen, but
unfortunately.
Could be our last opportunity to see John Jones.
Unless he comes back and wins that, bro.
You know, and we saw Luke Rockhold's last fight, Jose Aldo's last fight. Trying to think if I've seen anyone else. I think maybe Jessica I may have retired. But fucking big year for the UFC. Well, let's get into last weekend, man. 284. We watched everything. Obviously, you guys could probably see by the title today. We had a big interview with Sam Alvey that we
Big
did.
interview. Sam
Right?
Alvey was awesome.
Sam Alvey was dope, bro.
Mhm.
That was so cool that he took some time out of his day to just speak to us. It was a little bit later. That's what we were trying to work on last weekend. The schedules just didn't align right there, and then we were waiting for it, and we were ready this time. The first time was on us. We didn't have the link ready for him when we said that we were supposed to. But this time we were ready. We had the link right fucking there. I felt like Ariel Juan. I double texted him, and then, but the weekend before, he did reply. I was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't have service. I'm good to go now." But we were busy and we had to go our separate ways. But this time we were having the fight, so we had all day. And so when he hit us back up, he was like, "Hey, sorry, I got caught up building a fence with my family." I was like, "We're all good. If you still want to do this today, we can do it." He's like, "Yeah, send me a link."
Yeah, it worked out perfect.
I don't know how long do you know how long the interview is?
About 20 minutes.
Damn, it did not seem like that long. It seemed
like longer to me, bro.
Did it?
It seemed like
it
he gave
was
us
like
a lot of time.
I thought it was like a 5-minute conversation.
No, it was about 20 or so, I think.
But the first interview that we've ever had with the podcast, I think we deserve a toast to that.
Yeah,
shout out to Sam Alvey. That was dope, but
we weren't quite set up how we wanted to be. So the quality on the video for the interviews a little shaky.
Technical difficulty. Yeah, it's a little bit shaky, but it was our first one.
Yeah.
And you only get better. I mean, that's something that we've done is consistently get better and better and better as we go on. We're still shaky. I mean, we run a fucking backyard operation, you know.
We'll come back next time with some better stuff.
Yeah.
Next interview will be slightly better, and then each one after that we'll just keep getting better.
He said that he'd love to come back on. I'd love to have another conversation with him.
Awesome.
We each had a ton of questions that we wanted to ask, especially you. And he gave us a lot of good content. I mean,
lots of good answers, long answers.
I mean, Sam Alvey is just a straight pimp, bro, an OG of the game. His perspective on everything that's something that I really appreciated because he's not hiding nothing or faking something.
No.
Like you could tell he's just super fucking genuine.
Yeah. And real genuine guy, real awesome guy.
It was just a fucking amazing experience. But I think by the time the interview ended, it was halfway through the first fight. And that was a split decision. So we didn't really get to watch that. And then I was chefing up what the fuck did I eat? Nachos. I think I just made some nachos. I'm pretty good. Elise Reed took the L. That Blake Builder, my bad. I hadn't seen him before. Oh, he was on Contender Series.
Yeah, he was a Contender Series guy.
He won with submission, then he wins a unanimous decision against the hometown Australian. He outstruck him 126 to 81 through 206 strikes, though. 111 of his 126 strikes were significant. I want to rewatch that fight.
That was a good one. The whole card, top to bottom, was good. That Jack Jenkins fight was crazy. That dude throws kicks with bad intentions.
That dude, I think they said he broke like 3 of his past opponent's legs.
He came out saying that Shayna's leg was broke too.
Yeah, the commentary crew was really fucking big on his leg potentially being fucking broken.
His kicks were crazy.
His kicks were crazy, but Sheamus wore it, man. Like he wore it like a fucking true red, white, and blue blooded American. Yeah, you know what I mean? Sure. Like, obviously he lost and he was losing. I mean, he wasn't all that in it, but I mean, he never showed any sign of weakness. Never gave it to him. And then at the end of that, I think it was the first round, he fucking kicks Jenkins back. He's like, yeah. And then Jenkins just fucking opened. Fucking hit him like 6 times. And then the round, he's all smiling shit. Jack Jenkins is going to be a beast.
Jack Jenkins is an animal. Watch out for him for sure.
Jamie Malarkey looked fucking good. And he called out Paddy Pimblett, which would be a hell of a fight for Pimblett. Because obviously, I've said this, I don't know how good Pimblett is anymore. That last fight really deterred me away from him. I thought Jared Gordon beat him. So Jamie Malarkey's a really good fucking test coming off that decision win. He looked really good. He did what he had to do to get the win.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Kulolabo come out there and fucking stomp that Armenian guy. Fucking that's what the Josh Kalubo dude, the fucking face-offs. He was like, "I'll putting his hands in this fucking Armenian's face." This dude's got like throat tattoo, and he's just sitting there going like chewing on his gum, and he fucking grabbed that dude by his throat and fucking threw him. So it was dope. I think the crowd went even more wild because they had 5,000 people at their fucking press conference.
That's crazy.
That's fucking bonkers, bro. Because
how many people were at the one you went to?
Not that many in Salt Lake. I don't know what the number was. I don't even know if they put that information out, how many people went, but it was not 5,000 people. I don't know if it was 1,000. I don't even think it was 1,000 people.
No, not.
I don't know if it was more than 500 people, but it was. I don't get how not, bro. It was free, and that's what I always wanted to know was how that shit kind of worked. It's free. I don't know why they wouldn't do more because they had a ton of shit sectioned off.
Like, is it free for anyone or is it free with your ticket
free
for the event?
Free for anyone. It's free to the public.
Dang. Yeah, that should have been packed for sure then. You'd think.
And we were early, so maybe they told people like, "No, we're full. Like we're full."
Maybe.
I don't know. We were early. I'm always early. I like to be early. Early's on time. But then we got Jack Della Maddalena. I didn't get to watch that one live. I can't remember what I was doing during that fight, but he knocked his ass out quick. Knocked him out bad too. I seen a video of them after the fight. They were doing shots together. I would love to see that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like when Curtis Blades and Tom Aspinall fought in the England for the main event. And like 10 seconds in, Aspinall threw a kick and fucked up his leg. They posted a picture of them sharing a beer in the hotel room after.
Yeah.
I fucking love that camaraderie shit, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely like when there's some real beef and shit like that, but camaraderie is really respectable.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the interim featherweight title fight versus Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett. Every time I see his name, I want to call him Jair because I got Jair Moran. But that's how his name's spelled the exact same way. He's Mexican too, and that's how he said it. So I always want to say Jair Rodriguez, but I think it is Yair. He looked fucking good, bro.
He looked really good.
Looked like a straight skeleton out of a science book, high school science book, bro. At that weight cut. Did you see those pics? I've sent you several fucking memes of that guy, dude.
He looked rough.
Deathly fucking ill. And speaking of that, I don't know. I haven't seen this other than once. Jack Della Maddalena, I can't fucking say his name. He was like seizing in his fucking weigh-in interview. I don't know if you've seen that.
I did not see that.
The dude's talking to him, and he starts like his face starts fucking convulsing, and then he doesn't speak right when he starts talking again.
It's not good, dude.
And he looked like Josh Emmett too, cutting weight, and that's at 170.
Yeah, lots of rough weight cuts.
Big fucking boy.
Few people struggle with their weight cut on this fight.
Few people really do struggle with their weight cut, especially when you start getting a name and it's hype, and then you have more notoriety, and you're more of a celebrity. But that was a fucking fight, man. Yair was just picking him apart from the outside, and I had said he can't do this. Like Josh Emmett's gonna have to eat some shots walking forward because he will circle you and pick you apart. And he was landing fucking bombs, dude.
Yes, he was.
I don't know if he could have done that for 25 fucking minutes. His fight versus Max Holloway, if you haven't watched that, bro, that's a hell of a fucking fight.
I've seen parts, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
Top of the best of the division, man.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fucking fight. And Josh Emmett, I mean, he landed some shots too.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
Yair Rodriguez landed 98 to Emmett's 35 in that 2-round basis. And yeah, that was just a really fucking good fight.
I really want to see Volk come back and fight. Yeah,
He will.
that's what I want to see next. I want to see that before the rematch, I think.
Man, that's a heartbreaker for Josh Emmett. But yeah, Air is really fucking good, dude, and I'm glad to see he get his title shot. Him versus Volk, I'm way more fucking excited for now.
I'm way excited for that too. It was awesome to see Yair with his family after he won too.
That was his cowboy hat from his dad. Yeah.
Gave the belt to his mom. It was awesome.
It was a good fucking fight. It was a good weekend, man. Now we get to talk about the
main event.
The main event.
Real controversial fight.
The meat and the potatoes. I had to say it, but hell of a fucking main event, man.
Mm-hmm.
What a fucking fight, and especially with everything that's unfolded afterwards. Mm-hmm. What a fucking
lots of drama afterwards.
Lots of fucking drama. I'll check it out, my opinion right out of the way, and then you can give yours. Mm-hmm. Watching the fight live, I have not rewatched it. I need to rewatch it and then make a statement about what I think. But watching it live, and I was drinking some beers, a couple shots. Man, I thought Islam took rounds 1, 2, Volk takes 3, Islam takes 4, and Volk takes 5. Pretty clearly when I watched it live. The commentary team also, I think, felt the same way. But the public persona, no, that's definitely not what I meant, but the public
attitude or the public perception.
Yeah, the public perception of it was that Volk won. And then I watched Joe Rogan's Fight Companion. I just listened to it. I didn't really watch it. But I listened to it this week for just during that fight. That's the only part I watched was just during that fight. And all 4 of those guys in live time were pretty fucking convinced that Volk won that fight. Mm-hmm. And those are some incredible people. But Joe Rogan obviously right after, you haven't watched it, but right after, he's like, well, maybe we're being biased. Like he just like wasn't even up. Like at first he's like, what? And then he just instantly just was like, I got to rewatch it. He's like, because I thought Peter Yan beat Sean O'Malley when I watched it live, but then when I went back and watched it again, I clearly could see that Sean O'Malley could have won that fight and did win that fight. This was a little bit more tricky than the Peter Yan and Sean O'Malley fight because I don't think Peter Yan had Sean O'Malley in a body triangle for that one round. I think it was round 2. That's the big, do you give that for damage or for control? Islam did get Volk in a body triangle and he could not get out of that.
Yeah.
It's a dominant position. I don't think he was working real submissions. He had that neck crank, but I think that was in one of the rounds that he won. Round 2. I think the swing round for those guys and for the public's round 1. I think it's round 1. It's either round 1 or 2. I get them mixed up.
I think it's mostly 2. From what I've seen, people are swinging on 2.
So I do need to go back and watch that, and I'll say something about that. But man, what was your thoughts about all of that?
I agree with you. I had Islam 1 and 2, Volk 3, Islam 4, Volk 5. And 2, I think, is the swing round. That one was super close. I could see that round going either way.
Did Volk? I know that the judges only scored 1 takedown all fight, or knockdown, sorry. But there was more than 1 knockdown in that fight. I want to say Volk maybe stumbled or rocked or knocked down Islam twice in round 2. And then Islam stumbled him once in round 2 and then got the takedown. So I need to rewatch that.
All around, it was a great fight. Volk had really good.
It was a hell of a fight, bro.
Really good ground defense.
There's a picture of Islam when his eye. It might have even been in the fit, but it's when his eyes kind of a little bit fucked up. Never like it's been before, at least. And he's looking off, with his mouth open. And it's he did not. I truly do not think that Islam thought that fight was going to be even half as close as it was.
No, I didn't either. I thought Islam would dominate on the ground game, honestly.
And I did think that Islam had a a complex about trying to knock him out. I think he was more I think because he said he did, and he stayed on his feet way
longer.
My honest opinion with Islam
most around one to go for a takedown.
Right. And I genuinely think that Islam style and that Dagestani Russian camp style is shoot. They just shoot from a lot in the past. Very like even Khabib sometimes when he couldn't get the first takedown, he would still be shooting though. Islam didn't really shoot. He never had any desperate shots. He never forced any takedowns. He was very patient and really overall pretty content to stay on the feet.
He was for sure. I've seen a lot of people saying control time shouldn't mean as much in judging, but I mean Volk got controlled for all around 4. Like you don't want to lose to control time. Don't get controlled.
No, and Joe Rogan thinks that there shouldn't even be the ref should never stand him up. Like if you get taken down, then you have to fucking figure it out on how to get off of your fucking back. I don't know. It's stickier with me. I think that there's a fine fucking line. Because I agree to an extent for sure, you know, but also the fan. I don't know. It's one of those things where if you just have someone taken down and it's control. You're being controlled. It's a very fucking sticky argument, man. Because I'm really so in the not even so in the middle. I'm more on the if you get taken down, you should have to get yourself off of the fucking ground. But also there are people that will not work at all on the ground, not chase any submissions, not go for any fucking grounded pound. They're just perfectly content to outpoint you. But that is winning. I don't know. I didn't see anything in that fight, at least, that I was like, yeah, they should stand this up. Not once. Not once did I ever think that for this fight. So
yeah.
Hats off to Islam Makhachev.
Yeah. Islam was working that entire 4th round too, I feel like. Like he was always trying to do something. So yeah.
And it was
a close fight. I don't agree with Volk got robbed. I see it go.
I don't think Volk got robbed.
Volk
got robbed either. No, I don't see that. I don't see robbery anywhere. I didn't feel robbery. I'm gonna rewatch it and see if my opinion changes. But live in real action and to my knowledge now, I think Islam won that fucking fight. And I'm not gonna even lie. I'm anti that style. I'm anti Islam. I'm honestly
no.
Not
you want
Islam Makhachev at all. I want to vote to win big time.
Yeah.
I want to vote to win big fucking time. I think Islam's bad for the division. I can elaborate on that further in life, but I don't think Islam. I don't think that style sells. That's a problem that they had with Khabib. It was not selling. That's the problem they kind of had with Mighty Mouse for a little bit. Is that he was just so much fucking and it's hard because it just shows that it's MMA. It's all aspects of mixed martial arts.
Like they're dominant, but it just doesn't sell.
It just doesn't. It doesn't appeal to the casual, typical fan. You know, for people, especially like myself, I'm gonna buy it either way. It doesn't fucking matter who it is. I'm buying it anyways. I love all of it, but as far as overall, it's not a very big selling style.
Yeah.
But I mean, incredible fucking card, man. I mean, that was a hell of a card. I had a good ass time. All the fights were pretty fucking good. The crowd atmosphere was fucking amazing.
Yeah, Australia had a good crowd.
Australia was amazing, dude. I think that they could have mixed the crowd more in on the mic because I bet you live it was going insane. That's kind of one of the trips about going to it and then watching the event that you went to was that they turned down the crowds because it's pretty much for the main event it's pretty much nonstop roaring. But fucking crazy, man. I mean we can kind of jump into the IV shit. Still waiting on some. I don't really like to discuss shit like that. Accusations. I don't want to. I don't really like shedding light on accusations. That's why I haven't said anything on the matter. I haven't posted anything on social media on the matter because this is the story as far as my knowledge is just from all the sources I've seen that everyone has access to right now. USADA made a statement that just said a fighter can be. I believe it said the fighter can be administered only if doctor prescribes, like if there was an issue with the weight cut and the doctor prescribed you to need an IV, but it's like a certain amount of fluids per something else. So it's like, and then, so I guess this all started because Hangman Hooker, Dan Hooker, had said something on Twitter along the lines of, don't quote me, but along the lines of, stupid fucker thought he could come to Australia and get an IV and we wouldn't know about it. Or
Yeah.
maybe fucking cheat or something like that. Obviously, Dan Hooker's lost to Charles Oliveira in like 2 minutes in the first round. He submitted him. And then Ali, I'm not even gonna try to say his fucking last name, manager for like fucking 70% of the goddamn UFC roster. Fucking, he come out with this tweet. I wish I had it easily pulled up, but it was something like, fighters are allowed this many fluids.
4 liters, I think, is 3 to 4 liters, I think is what he said, which is a lot.
Or something, like after such and such weigh-ins, and then very, very fucking quickly deleted that tweet. But that's just not how this new world works. Anything you say is clipped. I mean, it's anything publicly, especially on social media, you say it's fucking clipped. So he said some shit about that, and then he deleted that. And then I seen an interview with Eugene, I can't remember his last name, but Israel Adesanya's main coach. He helps coach Volk, even though I believe Volk spends 90% of his camp in Thailand at Tigers MMA, something like that. A lot of fighters go to that. That's where Kamzat goes to. Peter Yan goes over there. Marvin Vittori just started going over there. Darren Till's been over there recently. It's in Thailand. It's Tigers Blood MMA or Tigers MMA, something like that. But so a lot of people think that Eugene guy is like Volk's #1 coach. I don't think so. I don't even know how much time Volk actually works at City Kickboxing in New Zealand, because it's not where Volk lives. Volk lives in Australia. But he did an interview. I can't remember who it was with, but he said the only thing that we can confirm right now is that either Islam or one of his 3 coaches that were in his corner got an IV. That's what he said. He said, all I can say is either Islam or one of the 3 guys that were in his corner got an IV. My take on that is, why would those other guys get one?
Maybe they just about that IV life.
I don't know. Islam's got those IV marks. Definitely could have been prior to the fight for sure. That's not really evidence in my eyes. But
I mean, the UFC has come out, and USADA came out and was saying there is an allowed amount, but the Western Australia Athletic Commission doesn't allow it at all. So it's still against the rules if you used it while in Australia for that fight.
Yeah, because the athletic committee, like the Arizona or the Nevada Athletic Commission, their rules trump UFC rules.
The Athletic Commission rules come first, so it's against the rules there still. So if he used it, it was against the rules. Who knows? There's been no evidence.
If would they vacate his title?
I'm not sure about that. Contest? I think it would just and that, and like, I don't know, like the results of that fight wouldn't count or something. Like that fight would just be taken off the records, maybe, who knows.
So usually they'll rule it either a loss or a no contest.
Probably no contest, I'd bet.
But then if you have a no contest as a champion, do you lose your belt?
I'm not sure.
No. Well, if you tie it, you keep your belt.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
Me neither. We got some good fights tonight. I only know like a couple of the fighters. The main event, Ovent St. Preux, probably his last fight in the UFC, I imagine. The guy that fought John Jones for the title forever ago. Pretty good card. Probably only gonna watch the main event. We'll see.
Yeah, I think I'll just watch the main event.
Should be a good one. What do we got next weekend? This is 18th. We got Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. That's a pretty good fight. Mike Mallett's a fucking stud. I've been waiting for Mike Mallett to fight again. Mike Mallett's a fucking pip. I was actually just thinking about him just the other day. Curious when he was going to fight again. fighting a fellow Canadian. Cody Osborne fight's probably going to lose again. Not crazy next weekend, but then the following weekend after that is fucking John Jones. So we're about 2 weeks out from John Jones.
We'll talk more about that as it gets a little closer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll definitely save those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I'd like to thank all of you guys for watching and tuning in or listening, whatever the fuck you're doing. This is the #1 Utah-based podcast in the nation, in the world, in the galaxy, in the dimension that we all reside inside of. Maybe this is a multi-dimensional podcast. I don't even fucking know. Maybe our guy from Belgium has access to like the 7th dimension. But we're going to play now for you guys to end this episode, the Sam Alvey interview. Again, keep in mind it was our first interview. We're still working out the fucking kinks on things. It was a great time though, great conversation, lots and lots of good details and information that Sam shared about us with a lot of behind the scenes aspects of the UFC that I've always been curious about. So you guys may be curious as well. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Garrett Kimball, of course, always joined by the lovely Kobe Mooney, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you.
Follow us on social media, Deseret MMA. We will also have Sam Alvey's social medias in the description.
What have you been up to? Building a fence?
Yeah, I've got my goats keep getting out, and we're about to, and we just got 3 baby sheep, and so I gotta put an electric fence like knee high around the entire back couple acres, and my spool of fencing broke, and so I've got a giant, I mean, like thousands of yards of tangled fence I have to untangle, and yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
No, I'm fucking. How big is your ranch?
So I've got 5 acres, but 2.5 of it is for the animals.
Animals you got? I know you got turkeys, I believe, and ducks.
Yeah, I've got 3 turkeys, 6 ducks, 3 geese, 30 chickens, a pig, 2 sheep, 5 goats. Excuse me, 2 of one breed of sheep. Now I've got 3 of another breed of sheep. Then I've got 5 goats, 2 horses, a pig, 3 dogs, and 3 Sphinx cats.
That is a handful.
I can't understand you, sir.
Me?
I know. Black shirt I've got, white shirt.
You're not picking up. Is that a little bit better?
Only a little bit, but I can hear it.
All right, this is our first one.
Oh,
Does it sound like I'm direct, or does it sound like I'm picking off that?
you get loud and then quiet, and I can't quite make out what you're saying.
You may just have to go off this one, man.
I'll have to sit in. How's that? Is that any better?
Yeah, no, I heard that real well.
Okay,
Alright,
so I think we're good. Yeah. Well, for anyone that doesn't know, this is the man you cannot get down, the man that you will never see frown, the one, the only, smiling Sam Alvey.
Hey, what an introduction! I love it. Bruce Buffer is in trouble.
I don't know about that. I would never put my Bruce, but we're very thankful to have you on today.
Yeah, for sure.
No better guest to have on our very first interview in our young podcast than Smiling Sam Alvey.
Yes,
And thank you guys for being so forgiving and me being late and all that.
Oh no, we just really appreciate the time. All right, so we're going to jump into a couple of questions. So we briefly talked about, we'll include that part besides all the mic issues that we had.
Okay.
You had a very busy day building fence. What's a typical, what is a day in your life like nowadays?
All right, so I'm usually up by 6. I start getting we have 3 brand new sheep. The oldest one is 3 weeks. The youngest two are 1 week. So I feed them first. Then I wake up my kids. I make breakfast for all them. I get them set up and ready to go to school. I then drive them to school. From school, I go to the lifting gym where I go and I get swole. And I've been doing that as religiously as I've ever done it. Like more than anything else. I'm lifting weights right now.
More than
When I'm done with,
training,
oh yeah, wait.
or back with earlier in your career, I guess you could say.
I'm lifting more now. I'm going up to 205. More than likely, that's where I'll be forever. So I'm just trying to get as big as I can, and I am. My weights have gone. I mean, skyrocketed. And I've always loved lifting weights. Yeah, so I run 2 to 3 miles every morning as my warm up, and I'm getting faster too. I've gained some weight. I've gotten a little thicker, and my mile times are still going up. So that's fantastic. And then after I'm done with the weightlifting, I go and do jujitsu or sparring, depending on the day. Then I go home. I feed all my goats and sheep and horses and all that. I eventually we've been remodeling our house for the last year, so I'll do some work on the house. Then I'll go pick up the kids. I take them to whatever sport they're in at the moment. They've got wrestling or baseball or soccer or jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai. I take them to their practice. If I'm not taking them to their music lesson, and then I will either get my second jiu-jitsu sparring match in, or I'll go teach jiu-jitsu and sparring.
That's a pretty all the model that you called Dana White on.
Didn't hear a word, guys. I'm sorry.
Was that so? I think I remember a story of you where you accidentally texted or called Dana White about like a leak in your roof or something like that.
Yeah, so we're remodeling. We tore down our old ceiling, we vaulted it, and then I drywalled over the flat parts, and we got a new AC unit, or at least the old one fixed, and it was great. And then all of a sudden, it just started dripping through the drywall. I was like, "Oh, this sucks." Well, my friend who helped me drywall everything, he was the drywaller. I was just his backup. His name is Dan White. And so I texted Dan a picture of it, and I said, "Hey, Dan, this is happening." And he responded, "Oh, that sucks." I said, "Yeah, man, it's really rough. Do you know if this is anything the air conditioning, contractor talked about?" And that's what he said. "No, I don't know what you're talking about, Sam." And so then I looked at who I wasn't texting my buddy Dan. I was texting my buddy Dana White. And I had a kick out of that. And he said, "Oh, you know what? By the way, I'm so sorry. I don't know if I responded to you about your baby. We named my baby after him a little bit. His middle name is Dana, my newest baby." And so I had texted Dana that. And he said, "I don't know if I responded. I'm always traveling and stuff gets lost." And I said, and we chatted about that for a little bit. And yeah, it was a pretty funny moment. My wife turned beet red. She thought it was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did that."
So I just have a question. So we're just peanuts in this whole big thing of the UFC and MMA. I'm just curious on business end of things. When you've been in the UFC for as long as you have, what's your relationship like with Dana White, and how do you kind of view, like, do you deal with Dana White like when you were trying to get fights, or like how much involvement does Dana White have in actually like talking to the fighters and getting fights scheduled?
So in the UFC, I've always been a journeyman, more of a journeyman than a title contender. I made it to top 10 there for a second, but only for a second, and then highs and lows throughout it. So for me, I've spoken outside of that text. I had a couple texts I've had with him. I've spoken to Dana 3 or 4 times, maybe. Yeah, and most fighters are like that. Most fighters don't have that much interaction with him. Our matchmaker is Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby, and those are the people we usually contact with or are in contact with. Dana knows all of us. Like he watches us fight. He watches. God, he must watch so many fights. So he knows all of us, and he would probably think, in the back of his head, he's got 800 fighters at any given moment that he's got to, split his time with a little bit. So that I've spoken with him 3 or 4 times is probably a lot compared to most fighters.
Yeah, that's incredible because he's such the face of the UFC, and everything seemingly goes through him. So that kind of blows my mind a little bit. For that long time that you were in there, it was just such a
Yeah, I suppose once you're in the top 10, once you're vying for a title, you probably do a lot more direct dealing with Dana White. That's probably the case. Like I said, I touched number 10 and then I fell out pretty shortly after that. I never really climbed to the title contention. So I never got all that much one-on-one time with him.
So I
He
would
does
have
get a
you.
Christmas every year, though.
He does do a Christmas bonus. Is that what you said?
It's a Christmas
No,
card.
he gets a
Christmas
Christmas card from me every year. I say me, but my wife, every employee of the UFC gets a $5 gift card to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or a coffee shop from me. And we've done that for the last decade, and we'll probably, as long as I can afford to do it, I'll probably continue doing it for a while.
Very sweet of you. So I've seen your TikToks recently a lot and your social medias, and I want to, give this time to you to speak about it. What's next for you right now? What is it that you're working towards right now, as far as
I'm
your career
fighting again.
goes?
My last fight, the first punch that bastard hit me with broke my jaw. And so I haven't really been allowed to fight yet. My jaw's healed up. It never got wired shut this time, which is nice. I'm back to full training. I'm lifting all the time. I'm trying to go up a weight class. I'll probably end up fighting a little less than I did. I was one of the more active fighters in the UFC. And so now I'll probably fight a little less. I'm going to chase the money a little bit. If it takes me overseas, like I've been talking to some bare knuckle organizations overseas, and
Really?
that's probably where I'm going to go next. But who knows? There's so many good organizations here in the States. Maybe I'll stick with the MMA and try my hand back in Bellator or PFL or Eagle FC or something like that.
What about WWE?
That would be my dream job. There's nothing I want to do more than the WWE. I've got some people working on it, but it's right when I was talking to him, Vince McMahon was getting kicked out. So WWE's kind of been up in the air for the last few months.
So would you be willing to go to I'm not a big wrestling guy, but would you be willing to go to AEW if WWE wasn't calling?
Absolutely. I would love the AEW. I've talked a little more directly to them, and they're looking for people that have existing experience. And I do not have that. I'm very, very good at falling, very good at getting thrown, but I don't have a big resume of amateur wrestling under my belt just yet. So the WWE, they've got the training ground, they've got the NXT, they've got some ability for me to train a little bit before they put me in the ring with Ronda Rousey.
How do you think that would go, you versus Ronda Rousey?
Oh, I'd smoke her. I'm so much bigger than her.
What do you think about these
for your
fights?
women's title?
What do you think about these fights coming up tonight for the UFC?
Do you watch often? Are you a big fan of the UFC? Do you watch?
Oh yeah, I love fights. I'm not going to stay up till 3 a.m. like last week's fight to watch.
Neither of us did. I watch everything, and I did not stay up for that.
Yeah, I could tell you who the main event was, and that was all I could tell you about the card. Didn't know anything else. That's the problem the UFC does have, is as they're trying to become more global, they've got on any given card, I only know 2 or 3 of the fights on there. It's crazy. But tonight's card, I love tonight's card. I at least I want Volkanovski to win so badly. I want him to win more than I think I've wanted anyone else to win. I those damn Dagestanis keep scaring everybody. I want somebody to prove that they can bleed.
And I'm right there with you.
He might be the one to do it. I know he's so much smaller. He might be stronger, so much smaller, and it's going to be an uphill battle. But I'm really looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, it'll be a good fight for sure.
No, I'm really pumped for tonight. I was a big Max Holloway guy, and I thought Max won that second fight against Volk, but there was absolutely no denying that Volkanovski beat Max that third time. And I don't know if you can see the decor behind, but I was a big Charles Oliveira guy myself, and I actually had him beating Makhachev. So I'm rooting really big for Volkanovski. I don't know if you saw him at the face-offs. He is quite a bit shorter than Islam is.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that Volkanovski used to be bigger than me.
He used to be 214, something like that. They said 14. when he was playing rugby.
Oh, that's nuts.
Oh, I can imagine. it's kind of a trip to me to think, I've seen Volkanovski live. I saw him fight Brian Ortega in Vegas, and I have a really close friend that's the exact same height. I think Volk's 5'6". And this dude is a big wrestler, wrestled through all high school, state champion, 2-time second place at state champion. He's 5'6", just shredded to the core. And when you see him on TV and then you're there live for the fights, it's different. They look way more human when you're there actually for the fights. And it'd be like, if we stood next to him, he'd be similar to looking like a Dilbro.
Yeah. Sometimes, so I get it a lot. I'll get it like 50-50. Some people think I'm bigger than I should be or smaller than I should be. So I'm sure everyone gets it, especially someone Volk, even for 140, 145er, he's short.
No, he is a little bit short. So I got a couple questions for you, Sam. What was your favorite moment in your career thus far?
Oh, the individual moment. I mean, the first time I got a win, I got a knockout in the UFC was something else. I mean, it was I'd spent a career building to that point, building to the opportunity to make money in something I love doing. And to be able to go out there and do it and win at such a high level, that was pretty cool.
How big of a difference is it? So I watched LFA's card last night, and it was in some casino. And they had the floor seats right there, and then they have a bunch sectioned off, and then clear at the top they had some people. How much of in layman's terms, is it of a mind fuck? Is it for you, not for you, I guess, but to go from this level to the UFC and the crowd difference? I don't know how big it was, right when you had gotten in, but is it a significant gap between the fan, how the attendance and the crowd plays a role?
No, the big difference, I mean, the biggest difference for me between fighting MFC is where I was the champion before going to the UFC. The biggest difference for me is the purse size, the money you get. Like when I want to fight before the UFC, yeah, I've got money for rent. And then once I'm in the UFC, I get that first big win. Is like, oh, I have a lot of money. It's like I have money for food. I don't just have to pay bills. I've got some, and that was kind of the moment. It's like, oh, this is cool. I can afford to keep, playing in the gym for as long as I want to. This is pretty tight.
So there's lots and lots of debate, at least recently, about fighter pay. What if you want to tie in? We don't have to, obviously, but if you would want to, what's your opinion on fighter pay? You've obviously been in the UFC before the Reebok deal, back when you had sponsorships. So what's your take on UFC fighter pay?
This will be the take that gets you guys huge, your podcast huge, or even bigger at least. I think the fighter pay in the UFC is incredible. I think they have such a business plan put together that the way they are paying and the way they are increasing the payment of everybody is second to just about no one. It's like when I started fighting, I believe it was 8-8 for your first fight, for your first victory, 8,000 to show 8,000. Right now it's 12-12. It's getting real close to 14-14. And if you have enough accolades under the UFC, LFA champion or ONE FC or Bellator or something like that, they'll start you even higher than that. And immediately after that first contract, they bump you up. After I won 2 of my first 3 fights, they gave me the next one. So I went from 14, I was 8, so I was like 11-11 was my second victory. They bumped me up to close to 30-30. On my second contract, which was, I mean, signing the second contract. Oh my God, if I lose, I'm going to make more than I've ever made winning before. And that just, I mean, they have been expanding with the sport, and unlike any other sport, the UFC really does give us the ability to monetize ourselves. For the rest of my life, maybe not me. Hey, for the rest of my life, people recognize me. I've got to, assuming I don't gain 1,000 pounds or something like that. I'm a big ginger kid that smiles a lot, that was UFC worthy. People recognize me. You won't get recognized if you're, on a football team other than maybe a receiver or quarterback. Hockey the same way. Basketball is a little tricky because they're all 8 foot tall. You just assume he's a basketball player. But they have given us the ability to monetize ourselves outside of the octagon, which is beautiful as well. And the sponsorships, I made so much more money through Reebok and then Venom than I ever could have, pre Reebok and Venom. The most I think I started with Reebok at $5,000 is what I got. That was more money than I was ever able to raise in sponsorship for in the UFC, out of the UFC, ever before. Because that's what people don't understand about sponsorship is putting your name on my butt isn't going to help you tomorrow. It's if you put your name on my butt for years, I will help you. Or if there's that one excellent photo of my butt, knocking someone out or something, you can use that for advertising. Maybe. So the way Reebok did, if you are a superstar, if you are a Conor McGregor, or John Jones, or Dan Henderson, you might be able to make way more money with outside sponsorship. But most of us fighters do not. We just don't have the ability. Most of our sponsors are friends of the family or people I've trained. So once Reebok took over, I could still get all the sponsorship I wanted. I just did it on my Instagram or my TikTok or my Twitter or my whatever else. And because of the UFC, I'm verified. I'm growing my other platforms as well.
No, I think that's something that you've done very well is use the platform that the UFC gives you, the eyes that the UFC gives you to market yourself. I don't know if you felt this, and this is how long that I've been watching you personally is right before your last fight in the UFC. I don't know if you felt this, but it seemed like for someone that's been like die-hard UFC, eat, breathe, and smoke UFC nonstop for the last at least 5 or 6 years of my life, it felt like the entire UFC fan base was behind you. Like, I remember I commented on my personal account several times leading up to your last fight in the UFC. Like, everyone wanted to see you win that fight, and I think that's because something that you've done very well is use the platform that the UFC provides for you to market yourself.
Yeah, I always tease my wife. I tell her I'm very charming. I'm very charming. And she knows I'm joking, but there's something about me people have liked, and so I haven't had to put on a front on my social media. I've just been able to be me. I've been able to go out and just let people know who I am, and if they like me, fantastic, and I hope they do, and if they don't, hopefully I don't offend anyone. I do know Twitter and Reddit are terrible places. They just want to see me hurt, but everywhere else has been fairly receptive of who I am, and I really am. I'm an open book. If somebody I understand. I've done something that fighters, under the UFC level fighters around the world dream of doing, and what the fans wish they could do. And if I can let them know how it's done or what I did to do it, even just a little bit, I really, that's what I've used my social media to do. Just spread the knowledge or the information that somebody might not otherwise know.
No, and that's what I think we really appreciate. You obviously you taking the time out of your day to speak with us for a couple of minutes. It means the most, and it shows. You have 50,000 followers just on Instagram alone, and we have 50 followers on Instagram alone. It just shows a lot of character and a lot about you. So we don't want to keep you too long here today, so you can go home and watch the fights, obviously. So we're just gonna fire off just one more question for you, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely, guys.
So, in your opinion, out of all the fighters, who do you think is the greatest of all time?
I don't think there's a question unless Volkanovski wins tonight. It's George St. Pierre. And Volkanovski is the closest to being number 2. If he wins tonight, I got to reel it out. I got to do some math. He might take over that GOAT spot. But George St. Pierre, he has lost and he bounced back from the loss, got his title back, had a record run for the title, went out on top, retired for 5 years, went up a weight class, took a title from another man, from a reigning defending champion, and then retired again. And he did it clean. At least I believe he did it clean. And he did it with wrestling, and he wasn't a wrestler. He is what UFC champions should be. Volkanovski has that opportunity to prove he is the GOAT tonight. And even even if he loses, but it's pretty competitive, I will definitely get him bumped up to number 2 or 3 on my list.
Who do you have at number 2 right
Oh, what was that?
now? Who do you have at number 2 right now?
It's either Jose Aldo or Khabib. Khabib's hard to argue with. I can argue against him, but it's easier to say Khabib. Jose Aldo, he's just incredible. I would like to put Anderson Silva on there, but he's popped for drugs too many times. Cyborg, I would put on there, but if I did, I'd have to put Nunes on there too. And I don't want to put Nunes. I like Nunes. I just don't consider one of the greatest of all times. Shoot, I'd have to look up. I keep it. I've made a couple TikToks about my list, and every time I think I change 2 or 3 of them. But those are my solid 3. George St. Pierre is number 1. Khabib is number 2, and Jose Aldo's number 3.
So we want to just thank you so much for the time that you've given us today, Sam. I mean, it literally means the world. At the end of the day, this could be, something that is the peak of what we're doing right now. And we just really appreciate the time you've set. Hopefully, here in the near future, or we could have you back on here again, and hopefully under slightly different circumstances. But but we really do appreciate it, Sam. You've been really great to work with. Nothing but respect and just love on her. So thank you so much for the time today, Sam.
Hey, you're very welcome, guys. Thank you for wanting me on.
Well, you guys heard it first. That is the one and only Smiling Sam Alvey. Thank you, Sam.
Hey, have a great night, guys. Enjoy the fight.
Yeah, you enjoy the fights as well.